Hey traders, welcome back to another trade recap. And rather than just a trade recap, I would like to do sort of a review of the 3 losses that we took since last week. So about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we had a beautiful week, about 6R, mainly traded pound dollar. Then last week we took 2 losses. The week before we only took 1 trade, which was a break even. So we took 2 losses last week on pound Aussie, which is again pound Aussie and dollar CAD, and we also took a loss on Aussie dollar this morning. We took it on Friday, held it over the weekend. Again, it was my decision. I say that I'll be holding this over the weekend. We did have some rejection early on the Asian Open, but after that we just didn't have any follow through. So after losing 3 trades, full transparency, I always love doing my review. So again, rather than doing a normal recap, I would like to go through what are some of the sort of the 5 checklists that I normally run through when I'm doing my review. So let me just write them down. So let's go back to dollar CAD, which was the first loss that we took. Dollar CAD. Sorry, it was pound Aussie. Sorry. So let's go to pound Aussie first, and let's talk about why did we take the trade in the first place, why did we take a loss, and what could we potentially improve. So there's 5 points that I would like to discuss. Let me just write all of them down. So the first question is always, did I go against the major trend? Let me just write all the points here. So these are 5 points that I normally go through. Again, I don't have a physical checklist anymore because these 5 things just naturally flow as I get more experience, as I know my usual routine. So first trade that we took last week was on pound Aussie. It was a loss. So go back to the daily. So on the daily time frame, we are seeing that price action is on a bearish structure on the daily time frame. The main reason why I say that market is on a bearish structure is because we actually say that we got multiple rejection high, we got secondary rejection, or what we call secondary failure at 193.25, followed by heavy sell-off, retracement. I'm expecting some further sell to the downside. Again, I'm not someone who likes to talk about hindsight, so when you're watching this video, don't look at this and say, oh, you could have done this, done that. Again, it's all probability. We don't talk about, we don't do any hindsight speaking, because if you do that, you're not trading. You're just sort of talking things through. Why we don't do that, right? Taking a loss is fine as long as they're within your plan. Is fine. So don't look at things and say, oh, you should have done this, should have done that. Why did you take a short there? Everyone has different point of view. Everyone has their own analysis. Everyone has their own patterns, and they have their own season. Sometimes it perform well. Sometimes you got flat period. Sometimes you got some drawdowns. It's fine, as long as you manage your risk. Everything's fine. So looking back at pound Aussie, one of the main reasons why we decided to take a short, it was because I told all of you at that point when we take the trade, market was obviously on a bearish structure. When price was at 190.35, I even say that I'm expecting price to pull back into 191.43. Then we're expecting a short back to the downside. Why? Because again, we're on a bearish structure. We're expecting further sell to the downside. I just want to stick to the short to mid-term bearish structure. Then we were expecting price to pull back into the SSE, which is essentially the golden zone, expecting price to continue push back lower. But again, the setup did not went according to our plan. We had a sell limit there, and we waited for days for the market to come. I think we waited for about 2 days plus, and market come, and we did have some initial rejection. Actually, we did have some initial bearish signal. So after seeing that multiple failure there, it was okay. But not long after, price decided to defend at 191.43, and it just continued pushing higher. So we took a loss on pound Aussie on our first trade last week. So what can we potentially improve here? Go through our 5 points. Did I go against the major trend? Again, if you really look at the daily, we can also debate that, hey, this is on a major uptrend. So I'll say it's a little bit mixed. All right, it's a little bit mixed. Did I go against the major trend? Yes or no? Because when I took the trade, I specifically say that I'm looking at more of a short to mid-term structure. All right, as price is printing low high here, I'm expecting price to push down. Was I being too biased? Not really as well. What's the definition of being too biased? Is when you take a loss, you take further incurring losses because you blindly stick to the trade idea. We don't do that. One of the thumb rules that we teach inside the 1% Trade Club, as I always say, is you need to have a strict re-entry criteria. We had a lesson inside our education channel last week. I said that how can you get back into a setup? How do you know when to get back in, when to not get back in? So after taking a loss, what did we do? I told all of you I'm going to step away until I see price further coming back under that 191.43. Why do we do this? It's because this allows us to essentially detach the directional bias and really allow us to respect the risk, manage just overall trying to maintain our risk exposure on one specific idea to a very low level. So this re-entry mechanism, this mechanical rule, just allow you to not blindly trade something that you're being too biased, you're being too stubborn over. So no, the answer is, so they go against the major trend, mixed. All right, because we are looking at short-term structure. So second thing, was I being too biased? Nope. So third thing, were these trades within my game plan? Of course, yes. So what's the specific pattern? It was OMSS. We talked about this, plus FIB plus pullback. All right, so we actually stuck to the plan, which is okay. Was there any chance to de-risk on the trade? Not really as well, because again, when I took this trade, I told all of you it's more of a set and forget. I'll stick to it, especially after seeing multiple rejection, multiple exhaustions. If you go back to the 50-minute, after seeing multiple exhaustion, I told all of you I'm going to stick to the trade, as price also formed a potential TPF here. Again, don't look at this from a hindsight and say, oh, prices are obviously holding above the level, you could have done this, done that. That's, again, hindsight speaking. I don't like to talk about hindsight. I much prefer to look at the trade at a very objective standpoint and say, was there anything I could have done better or not? If no, we move on. I don't like to waste too much time on reviewing a trade that it is just out of my control. It is just something that's within my game plan. So were there any chance to de-risk on the trade? The answer is not really as well. Not really, unless before I take the trade, I already said that, oh, this is a little bit risky, whatever. So the answer is still not really. Areas of improvement. The only thing I could have improved here was, okay, perhaps maybe I shouldn't go on a sell limit on this. I should have waited for some sort of trigger. But when I was doing my review, when I look at this trade, objectively again, if I were to wait for a specific trigger to get into the sell, I probably would still be on the exact same entry level. Because if you pull this onto the right, price in fact did show a potential TPF here, which essentially still is a trigger. So you can actually see there's a TPF here, which essentially still was within our plan. So when I do my review, that's pretty much what I do. I like to just look at things very objectively and say, hey, is there anything I could have improved? Area of improvements, not much. So after done all of these thought process, after going through this short checklist, normally it's done. I take the screenshot, I save it, I move on. So let's go on to the second loss that we took, which is on dollar CAD. We also took a loss on dollar CAD. Let me put on a replay again. For this one, there could be some improvement actually. let me try to. Okay, so let's again go through this 5 checklist. All right, this 5 is very this 5 checklist is very friendly as well. I believe a lot of you can literally just copy and paste onto your own review, because once you go through this 5 checklist, normally there's not much else to really consider. So sorry, my throat is not feeling very well. So let's talk about dollar CAD. So I was essentially looking to short dollar CAD as well. One of the main reason, again, it was because I know that market was potentially in a long-term rollover. We talked about this for a very long time, and in fact we waited for this specific entry for a very long time, for a very long time. But yeah, the main reason why I decided to go short on dollar CAD, if you look at the daily, it was overall because market had multiple rejection at high. That's one of the key reasons. So multiple rejection at 138.38, which is essentially that multi-month or multi-year high since 2022 September. Then followed by what? If you drop down to the 16-hour or maybe on the 8-hour, you can also see that we had some follow through to the downside again. Multiple rejection, secondary failure at 137.74, followed by tertiary or just more failure at 137.39. That's a fake out there. And after seeing multiple failure to the high, normally we will assume that again, short-term wise, we are showing some exhaustion signal. So when price is showing some exhaustion, which means we're looking for some short-term sell. So the main reason why I was looking to short it, and the specific, I'll just say the specific trigger that I was looking to go short, as I say inside our group, I say that I won't be looking to go short until I see price fake out the intermediate structure at 136.64, sort of do that, form a TPF back to the downside. And if you measure using the fib, you can actually see it aligns with all of our criteria. Again, so it was something that is within our plan. So let's go through the 5 points. All right, so overall we took a loss on this one. My entry trigger was after seeing price show that lower time frame break of structure at 136.68. Then after that, I just say, hey, I'm looking to go short, respecting our initial plan, stop loss at the high, and eventually price did stop us out. So let's go through the 5 points. Did I go against the major trend? I'll say this one again is a mix because market is ranging. Exhaustion. So our market was ranging, at the same time it was showing failure to break the high multiple times. So we can agree that market is either ranging or is showing exhaustion. So was I being too biased? Not really as well. No, because no re-entry taken. Again, we took a loss. I told all of you I'm not looking to get back in. I want to step away to prevent any further damage or being too biased. Why? It was based on our mechanical re-entry rule, which is unless we see price coming back under that 136.63, otherwise we are not allowed to get back in. So will this trade within our game plan? Again, yes. I actually talked about specific entry level. Everything was discussed inside our channel. Were there any chance to de-risk on the trade? Not really as well. It came really quick. We actually get stopped out relatively fast as well. After we enter, price just held above that 20 and the 50 EMA and just continue pushing all the way up. So there's no chance I can sort of de-risk on the trade. No. Areas of improvement. Again, we can say that we shorted on the mid-range. It was a mid-range short. It was a little aggressive. That's the review. Why do I say that it's a mid-range trade? Again, the main reason why I decided to short there, it was because I realized that the market is in a long-term rollover, and after seeing price rejected the high multiple times, I told all of you as well, I'm not expecting price to go back to 137.31 high of the range anymore. I'm expecting price to push lower. So it was a loss that, again, I'm happy to take it. I'm happy to take a loss on this one. Just happened to go against our direction. So areas of improvement, it was maybe a little bit too aggressive. All right, we could have waited for market to really stretch a bit further, confirming the break. Then we take sort of a bear flag trade to the downside. However, we aggressively get in after seeing the break. After that, price just bounced back up and eventually respected that 136.66, and we took a loss. So the only thing that we could have improved here, I could have improved here, I don't say we, I could have improved here. Full accountability is probably a little bit too aggressive. So something that we all have to we have to just keep learning, right? So trading is something that you keep learning. There are times where setups really seems like sticking to a plan, but you take a loss. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Taking a loss is not a big deal, right? Because we take calculated risk. No matter how bad of a performance we have, whatever, as long as you keep your risk within your parameter, you will never run out of capital. So we only took 3 losses, which again is not a big deal. I'm not someone who's concerned about taking a few losses here and there, because all my trades, I know they're always within my plan. I never take anything outside of my game plan. So patience is important, discipline is important, consistency is important. So take a loss on dollar cap. One thing that we could have improved, again, it was the aggressiveness of the entry. Could have wait for a much confirmed entry trigger, which is an obvious break of structure, then look for a pullback to the downside. But yeah, another loss that we took was Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar was something that I was rather more confident, but again, took a loss. I decided to hold it over the weekend, had some initial rejection on the Asia Open, still taking a loss. Still, let me copy the exact checklist again. Copy. So let's move on to Aussie dollar. So this is a fresh loss. Let me just clean the list. So this setup also is something that we waited for nearly 2 days. I'll say nearly 2 days. If you look at the daily, Aussie dollar is an obvious uptrend. We're just looking for some pullback entry, a continuation to the upside. So it was again a very clean setup. It just happened to not work well. All right. So we don't look at it and say, oh, it's a loss. What can I improve here? These are trades that there's really nothing to improve, right? Overall uptrend, and I say that I'm expecting Aussie dollar to continue pushing to the upside. We got a major structure here, so essentially it's just a pullback, a break and retest trade. Then I told all of you that there's a key turning point here at 0.6681, and that's one of the key level that I'm monitoring, and it was a limit order. After price come back, I basically just jump onto the buy. So we pretty much expected Aussie dollar to pull back as well. We expected Aussie dollar to pull back because, as I say, price was a little bit overstretched on many time frames. So after we get triggered on the position, there's not much that we can say. All right, so let me pull the list here. So after we get triggered, price did show some initial rejection, and we did have some push on the Asia Open, but after that price just dropped all the way back down, tagging us out. So again, it's a BNR setup, it's a limit order based. There's nothing much to discuss. So did I go against the major trend? The answer is again no. Was I being too biased? No as well. Again, we're always flexible. I'm not someone who's overly sort of being too stubborn on one direction. If I get stopped out, I know when to just pull the handbrake. I'm not those that I'll revenge trade, whatever. And that's how I'm able to consistently extract profits from the market, because my downside is always protected, right? If I take multiple losses, let's say 3 trades, like right now, 4 trade, 5 trade, I only lose that amount. But when I make one trade, normally it's 3 to 5 R, 3 to 5 R, 3 to 5 R or more, depending on the setup. Yes, were there any chance to know Any chance to de-risk on the trade? No. Areas of improvement? Not really as well. So it's a very simple BNR setup, just a pullback long. So it's really very straightforward. So nothing much to discuss on this one. And that's pretty much it for sort of a recap and a lesson here, and five of the checklists that I normally go through before when I'm doing my review. So yeah, any question, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye bye.